Hello everyone, Dr. Smallridge here. This is a video for my statistics class. This is going to be a short video that I'm basically going to cover how to write out equations in Microsoft Word. The reason I want to cover this is because eventually in this class we're going to get to assignments where you need to do statistical calculations and work through various equations based on statistical formula. And with that, because it's an online class, I need you guys to be able to show your work. There's a couple reasons for that. One of the main ones is it lets me know what you actually did wrong, so I can go back and say, here's where you made a mistake, this is what you need to look at more carefully, that type of thing. But also, if you do just get one small part of your equation wrong, then I can still give you more points than, let's say, if you just give me the wrong answer without anything there as far as you walking through the different steps. You're going to get a much lower score than if you work through the problem and you have one mistake, but that's the only mistake in the entire problem. So that's one reason why this is important. And there's obviously a couple ways you guys could submit this to me. You could scan your written work, that's fine as well, but probably one of the most valuable for most of you is going to be to use Microsoft Word and write up your homework assignments in Word, and you can put the equations right in Word as you're writing up the work. Now, how you go about doing this is pretty straightforward, but you basically, this is for Microsoft Word 2010, but if you go to Insert, there's actually, clear at the end over here, there's an equation, a little function here, and if you click on that, it brings up this equation toolbar. And there's really three things that are the ones we're going to be playing with in this class for the most part, and that's fractions, scripts, and radicals. And so, but what you do with this, let's give you guys a simple formula. Whenever you click on that equation thing, it brings up this equation box, and if you click on that, you can start putting in information. We can do a basic one there, which you could do using without this equation box. But what this really allows us to do is put more complicated equations in Word. For example, this is an equation that is basically one I just pulled offline, but this is actually a picture. You can see I can actually rotate it and whatnot, and this would not be a viable way for you guys. You can actually show your work by writing it up yourselves. But I want to use this as a template to basically write the same exact equation through its various steps using Word. So we click on the equation aspect here, hit equals, and the first thing we notice here is that we have a fraction. That's the first thing we want to deal with, is click on this fraction portion here. And you see there's multiple options here. Here's the one you're probably going to be going with the most, where you have the numerator on top and basically the straight line bar here. Now, you see what this gave us? It essentially put out this little fraction here. We actually have these little boxes where we can add information. So what we can do, we look at the top portion of this here, is pretty straightforward. It's just 5 minus 4. So we go in and we click 5 minus 4. But then if we look on the bottom one here, we see we actually have a pretty complex formula. We have essentially I think it's a square root of these two things, and we can actually go about doing that as well. That would, if you go back and you look at our radical section here, you see there's multiple options here too, but here's the one that we really want to deal with. It gives us sorry, I lost that. It gives us our square root here. Then we actually get another little box where we can put information under that. But once again, what we need to do is go back to fraction, click on that there, then we can put plus sign, add another fraction. This is slow starting out, but once you do it more, you'll get pretty quick at it. And then just put in our information. 1, 8, and 6.571 for 8. Now this equation doesn't actually calculate this for you. Again, this is just to essentially show your work to me if you're actually doing something in the class, some homework in the class. So we got our first section here, nice and written out. It is an equation. So we can, continuing through here, we can insert our next one, go through kind of the same steps, put in our fraction. Quick note here, this aspect here, if you have an equation like this, you're going to do the numerator and denominator separately before you move on to the next step. This is basically like these would be in parentheses, even though there aren't parentheses showing here. So doing that, we get 1 on top, and then again we have to go to radical here, click on this again, click on that box, and put our information there. Okay, so now that one's done. Now we go back in and we want to put in our next level, our equation. This one we can actually kind of skip over some steps and just do equals 1 and actually use the slash sign on the keyboard to kind of speed this up, and it will automatically convert that to the format we see. And then adding our last one in here, it's basically just our answer, which you don't necessarily even have to click on the equation box to add. We add another space there. So that's, again, basic stuff of going through semester. There's a few other things that we want to look at as far as what you can do with this that you'll be using if you submit your homework and do it all in Word like this. But the other thing I wanted to bring your attention to is this script function here. We click on that, we see that what this would do, it'll basically, for the purpose, mostly the purpose of our class, allow us to add an exponent. So let's say we had 3 to the second power, we could just click on it like that, and then bam, we have that. And it's easy to put that information in, and we could add that into a larger equation if we wanted to. So this is kind of just a quick overview of what you can do with this equation function. There's quite a lot more options here, but that's some of the main things that you'll be using in this class. But if you have any questions, I suggest that you go and you play around with that, familiarize yourself with it. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're not using Word, let me know, and we can maybe try to think of an alternative option for you. But this is, as far as I'm aware, the best option available for showing your work in this class, other than just uploading stuff that you've scanned into the computer. Alright, so I hope that's helpful. Everyone have a fantastic day, and once again, let me know if you have any questions.